Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up? Dude, you're swagged out. Look at you. Boom. I need to wear my Team Limitless shirt on. Oh, there's Carol. Sorry, I gotta minimize this real quick. I gotta connect to my monitor. Yeah, we just want to chat for a little bit after Eric about the panel. Well, we're gonna talk a little bit about the panel during the team meeting, but just future ones and that list we made
Yeah,
and stuff. It went really good. How you feeling, by the way?
much better.
Good, good. Next. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Carol.
Hello. Good morning.
You're muted, Kathy,
I thought I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me now?
or I just don't have sound. Maybe it's me.
No, we could hear Eric.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Good. We can see you, Kathy. Yes, and hear you.
Hey. I was actually on Zoom about an hour ago because I thought it was like 9 o'clock instead of 10 my time.
Oh, yeah.
I've been up for an hour now waiting. I thought I was going to be late. I was like actually an hour early.
Ready to go.
So, yeah, it's 9 o'clock your time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you actually jumped on an 8?
I did.
Well,
Then
glad we got you out of bed and started your day.
Then I looked at my calendar again. I thought, no, I already had it on there. I had it at 8:45 to get on because you were doing like 9:45 or 50.
Please, man.
You had all these different time sets for 3 different things for your Zoom call today. So I'm here.
Say hi to Terry.
I guess.
Whoever. You can't see
I don't know who I'm
that.
talking to.
It's Carol and Kathy. Let me pull it up here.
I just want everybody to know I pulled a groin muscle golfing, top golf the other day.
Oh, man.
I strained. I'm like, what? My groin hurt. It was all that, swinging too hard, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. There you go.
Oh, you're sideways.
Yeah, I'm sideways because I looked at the monitor.
Carol.
Oh,
Carol's
side-
sideways.
Carol sideways. That's okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Man.
Yeah, I'm really mad. I used to think, how did Tiger hurt his knee golfing, you know? It's golf. Well, you know, there you go.
Twists and turns and pressure
Yeah.
and this and that. That was fun, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Eric was sick, but now he's feeling better. That's
There she
good.
is. Now she's upright.
Oh, wow. Got fixed fast. That's a great picture, Carol.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was not feeling well last week.
What, did you just have like the flu bug or the COVID bug or something like that, Eric?
Yeah, I don't know if it was COVID or not, but I just had a regular cold for about a week, and then all of a sudden it moved into my chest. And I was like, I need to be in bed now. It's just like I slept all day Wednesday and Thursday. It was,
So when you say chest, you mean lungs?
yeah, lungs.
No bueno.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're kicking it.
Yep. On the way back.
Going back. Hey, Nathan. Why doesn't she
Good
come
morning.
up?
I saw her down there.
Lynn's iPhone just popped up. She's like, just come upstairs.
She's like, what?
I know, literally. Yeah, her desk is right there.
She's working.
Oh, there she is. I'm teasing you, Lynn. I'm like, why doesn't she just come upstairs?
I hear you. I hear you.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Can I get a drink?
yeah, absolutely.
Did you hear me?
Yep.
We got you, Nathan.
okay.
Well, then you went back mute, but I guess we're just checking.
Oh, I said good morning back, but I didn't know if it came through.
Oh, No, I didn't hear you till you asked if we could hear you. Super cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We're a little after 10. Hopefully a couple other people jump on, but that's all right. We're just gonna kind of pull up. Let me pull up my little slides and let's have a chat. It's a good Monday. Who's having a great Monday? Anybody?
So far,
I
so
am.
good.
Yeah, yeah. I am having a great day. Had a birthday party for
Guys,
Ashley's oldest. She turned 8. So that was
Whoa.
fun this weekend.
Yours is 8?
yeah.
She's 8. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
She the oldest
You
grandchild.
brought him calculating. 16 and you had that girl.
What did you say, Lynn?
No, I asked if is she the oldest grandchild that you have?
I'm sorry, Kathy, I couldn't hear you.
Ashley's 8-year-old. Is she the oldest grandchild that you have?
She is. Yep, she's the oldest grandchild.
Number one, huh?
She is number 1. Why can't I see this on my thing? Where's my?
You're not sharing
My-
your screen.
My youngest grandchild turned 18 in November, and my oldest grandchild is, I only have 2. Well, I have 3, 4, but they're
Which-
my step grandchildren. But they're 18 and 20, soon to graduate from high school and soon to graduate from college. I have
Nice.
no more babies yet, but they both have really steady girlfriends and boyfriends. So we'll see.
That's what leads to babies.
Yep.
Shayna, what you laughing at?
Oh, I just was laughing because I hopped on Zoom with my bed unmade and garbage all over here and all over here because I'm organizing. And then I was like, oh, I can blur my background. Yay.
Oh, that's funny.
I need to do that too with my office. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, if you go to the top 3 dots by your box, you can click on it and then you can blur your background.
Oh, I see right there.
Kathy's like, all this time. Could have been.
Yeah, all this time.
I'm not one to
Well-
care. You guys can see my messy house. I don't really care, but it just was funny because I forgot that I had unboxed my microphone thing and it's all over the place right now. So.
So that worked, didn't it? It blurred it pretty
Yep.
much. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Mm.
Well, welcome everybody. We should go ahead and get started.
Do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So I've got the opening thoughts today, and we talked a little bit about this last week to where a lot of people believe that motivation comes from taking action, which then leads to more motivation, but it's actually the opposite way around, where you take action, which leads to motivation, which then leads to more motivation. And I had a little thing that I read from Mel Robbins, and I'll just read it again because I think it's really, like, it makes you really think. We've all bought into this lie that we've got to feel ready in order to change, that at some point you're going to have the courage, at some point you're going to have the confidence. The human mind is designed to stop you from doing things that feel uncomfortable or scary or difficult. Our brains are designed to protect us from those things to keep us alive. But in order to change, you're going to have to do things which are scary, uncertain, and difficult. And then I kind of prompted everybody to use the 5-second rule. Mel Robbins has a 5-second rule where you've got 5 seconds to make a decision. You go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam, make the decision. So I'm wondering if anybody was able to apply that. I applied it to getting out of bed
Oh,
in the morning
that's
instead of
nice.
snoozing.
Congratulations.
So I definitely used it and it definitely works. Did anybody else have any experiences or tried it out? Figured it out at all?
Terry's like, I only need a 1.
Yeah.
I don't need a 5 for it. I don't need the 5, the 4, the 3, or the 2.
Yeah, so I do that method. I really love it. Especially when you go back to like your old habits and stuff. It's really just a quick like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get back into it. And I'm with you on the waking up thing. My alarm goes off and I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. James does the whole snooze thing over and over again. And I'm just like, I'm more likely to stay in bed if I do that than just getting up. Love it.
Well, I don't know how I did that this morning because it must have been a 1 or something like that, because I usually do the snooze alarm too. So I was like an hour early to this session this morning. There was nobody there. on this call.
Awesome. No, that's good. Isn't that funny when you think you're late for something and you go, oh, and you just instantly, you're wide awake and you get going and then you realize, oh, wait, wrong time or whatever. Yeah, and you don't just do that naturally all the time. I sent you something on, Emilio. How are you, man? Just want to say hi. Did you get that reel that I sent you on Mel Robbins?
Yeah.
So it's exactly what Ashley's talking about. She was telling the story about the 5-second rule. This is early in her career where she really didn't even have one yet. And somebody had invited her to come and do a TED Talk. And it was before TED Talks were really big. And she thought, oh, they're paying for my flights and the hotel, a free vacation. And she was like in debt and all this other stuff. She goes, I'll take my kids and it'll be a vacation. So she went up and did this talk. And she said it was horrible, the whole experience. She hated it and everything. And at the very end, she hadn't really figured out how she was going to close it yet. So she just says, oh, there's something I've been doing lately that's really been working for me. And she outlined the 5-second rule, didn't think anything out about it.
And that was the punchline.
And then that was the end of it. But so then it was done and she's like, that was miserable. She told her husband, I'm never doing that again. You know, but people started sharing it over the first year. And she mentioned how many shares it was, and I can't remember. And then the second year it was in the millions of shares and stuff. And she's getting all these comments and all these people reaching out to her. I've been doing the 5-second rule. It's changed my life. It's helped me with my relation, all these things. And so it led to her doing research and study behind it because it was just a thing she did. And then she started getting all this validation from these different, I don't know, I can't remember who did the studies or whatever, the research departments or whatever, validating the mind and the connection to it and why it works and this and that. And it turned into this huge thing and just launched her career. Kind of crazy. Something so simple that she just shared. But we probably all have something like that, huh?
Well, I was just thinking of, as you were talking about how she didn't even know the research behind it. So another one of Mel Robbins' books is the high five habit. And there's all this science behind like giving high fives to people or to yourself in the mirror and like how it affects your brain. And how it's like you never give someone a high five unless you're like congratulating them on something or you're like, hey, you got this. And Jeff and I have been high-fiving in the office and he's like, I think it's the high fives, like something's going on. And I was like, well, did you know there's a lot of science behind it actually?
I hadn't heard that. We just started doing it. She even texted me one day that I wasn't in the office and I was going somewhere else. And she said, on your way to the freeway, can you stop by and give me a high five? Because we smacked.
Well,
kids.
it's not just a little five.
Has been practiced.
Yeah.
Firecracker, baby. Firecracker.
You're nice and stiff. And
Yeah, it's
hot.
like,
If it doesn't sting, it doesn't count.
Yeah, if you got a limp hand, that ain't gonna work at all.
No.
No.
Stiffen that.
Have you ever
sucker up.
gotten a handshake?
Yeah, and like, ooh, wet.
It's like,
Yeah, that was. Well, you know, a close cousin to your 5-second rule that I've always kind of used in my life is, and it's a little different, but it's just don't be afraid to fail.
Mhm.
And literally, you have to shift your mind that it is okay to do it wrong, to get it wrong, to be completely
Yeah.
wrong, right? Because what usually keeps you from doing something in the first place is your fear of not doing it right, or I'm not ready, or I'm not prepared. Screw that. Jump in, do it, fall down, bruise your knee, skin your nose, whatever, skin your nose, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and just and then get up and take another swing, you know? And that's kind of how I kind of view.
Yeah,
things, you
yeah.
know?
There's so many quotes around
Yeah,
that too that
yeah.
make you think
Just
of it in
don't
different
be a
ways. Like
scaredy
if
cat, man.
you're
Just-
not failing, you're not trying.
Yeah.
You know,
When I was growing up, we were water skiing. If you didn't fall a couple times every trip, you weren't pushing it hard enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go down to get better, right? So, yeah.
That's perfect. I love that. And it's actually a great segue into what Shayna's going to be talking about at the end.
Nice.
Well, hey, I've got, so I don't know what's next on the agenda, but I was going to just say, you know, just as far as positivity, the market, you know, my wife, and by the way, all you folks that took Martin Luther King Day off, you missed my wife. She came in and gave a great presentation on Set the Stage and how her staging
It
business
was
does wonderful things for all of us agents. You know, anyway, but anyway, that I was going to kind of mention that too. So Shelley is in the Set the Stage staging business. So she's working with folks like us every week.
Yep.
The leading indicator is that she's busy as can be, right? I mean, she's going to all these offices. She mostly focuses down in Utah County. She has a little bit up this way too. But the point is, there are a lot of houses being sold out there. And so if you don't think they are, Shelley's got a great perspective into that because she's seen a lot of agents that need staging done, right? There is a lot of activity on that. The other thing, I took a buyer out over the weekend and we went looked at a couple houses, looked at a couple, these are first time home buyers, entry level pricing, sub 500, like 500 to 525. They're just right in that really tough range. And of course, they don't want to live in, they want to live in, Draper, Rivington, Harriman. It's like, oh yeah, good luck with that, right? But the point is, we went out and looked at these two houses. They were both in fairly bad shape. They needed a lot of work, right? And I'm kind of giving honest feedback to the agent after the showing, right? And then she fires back to me, got multiple offers, taking highest and best tomorrow. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So the point is, there's some good things going on in the market. There's activity, especially in that price range, obviously. But anyway, market's looking up. Things are looking good.
Yeah.
Keep your chin up.
We'll talk about it a little bit more when we
Yeah.
get to that point, but on our panel discussion that we had last week, one of the topics of conversation was the spring buying season's already started.
Mhm.
Yeah, which goes, that when I talked to you guys and had that big, hey, team, help me out here. Should I take this condo off the market, that high rise down? Should I leave it on? Jeff's like, well, you can't sell it. It's not on the market. And in some ways I'm looking at it, kind of wishing, because we've got kind of a mild winter going here, I'm kind of thinking we probably should have left it on, right? But he did pull it off so his family could use it, but then he did a bunch of improvements. So he's probably going to put about 20 grand of improvements into it. So I guess that's okay. But in a lot of ways, I wish we'd just left it on.
Yeah. Well, when we get to wins and stuff like that, maybe Lynn can share about her, multi-million-dollar listing that she had on there that was not getting any activity. And then all of a sudden.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped your agenda. I didn't know what was next. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We can talk definitely.
No, we're gonna definitely get to that. The only other thing I have before that is just that I wanted to recognize
Oh, yeah.
that Carol had someone new join her team, Marty Bingham.
Hey, Carol.
So I just wanted to recognize that. I don't know if you want to say anything, but that was exciting to see that come through.
Hey, Carol, are you somewhere where you can tell us about Marty a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I tried to unmute earlier, but it seemed like it got stuck. But yeah, Marty Bingham, there was a notice that went out. This office in town was closing. So I reached out and I talked to him. And I met him and his wife is planning on getting licensed. So I'm hoping that she'll sign up under him. But he is primarily a contractor, so he didn't have any sales for 2023. The application is kind of forcing him into the mentor program. But I went and talked to Robin, who is our DB, designated broker, and she says that probably he won't need to go into the mentorship program. So he's got a lot of experience. He's been here for years, maybe 19 years or so. I'm not really sure how long he's been here, but it's going to be a godsend having him on, working with me. Because my biggest problem is a lot of these people really want you to be able to say, okay, if my house burned down, what's the replacement cost? And I keep telling them, well, that's for an appraiser to determine because it's really kind of outside what we do. So he actually has all of that knowledge and building, and I'm really looking forward to working with him.
That's awesome. That knowledge will serve him really well with his clients and big trust factor there. That's great. Great background.
Right. And I'm hoping to get my $1 million listing back. And that client was the one that came up with telling me I need to do a proper CMA, which that's what he thought it was, giving him all kind of appraisal information. And I told him, I said, you really need to get an appraisal done. But I'm hoping to get that listing back. So I reached out to him and let him know that Marty was going to be working with me and that he was a general contractor, had worked here for many years. That I think I'd be interested in what his evaluation would be for the house. That I would appreciate an opportunity when he's ready. Haven't heard anything, but I'm trying to plant seeds here and there and everywhere, get some business going.
Good, good. Like actually was talking about at the first of the meeting, it's the action that creates motivation, but then that also builds momentum. And you got to keep that momentum going, and it's easier to keep going once you have it. So good for you. That's awesome.
Great job, Carol. So I had a question
Thank
for you.
you.
So Marty has closed transactions in the past, just not in the last year. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, yeah, he's done a ton of business, so he's definitely not a newbie.
Well, good job going to your broker, because that decision can be made by the broker. And I've had that with some agents in the exact same similar situation, and got them relief from the mentor program as well. So yeah, keep us posted on that. Good job. Congrats.
I signed up for the mentorship program myself, so I've got to go take some courses and become certified. Because I do have another contractor that's a male that he signed up for the course, so he doesn't have his license. But he's slow to get busy on the course, but you know how that goes. So I do want to mentor the people I bring on, but I'd like to bring on a few more.
Awesome. And that's really smart. That kind of connection, being their mentor as well. That's awesome. And sometimes they don't qualify. Terry is another example. Terry had bought a ton of property and had a real estate portfolio and was doing all kinds of investing himself. Had personally done more transactions than the requirement by far. And same scenario, just took a phone call to the broker and said, no, he doesn't need to be in the mentor program. It's like, okay, wave.
Can I mention something to Carol about the mentor program since I'm still in it? Carol, you have to be also a managing broker in order to be a mentor in the mentorship program. I don't know if you knew that or not, or if you are a managing broker, but you have to have that manager broker certification or designation in order to be a mentor and get paid for it through the mentor system.
Not in Utah. So I
Is
don't,
that
care.
a Washington thing, Kathy?
What's that?
Is that just a Washington thing? Because that's not the
Well,
case here.
I thought it was nationwide. I thought it was an EXP thing.
No.
I tried when I came in, it'll be 4 years in April. When I came in, I had 30 years behind me. And I mean, I was a transfer in from, Keller Williams. And because I didn't have 3 transactions the previous year, regardless of my experience, regardless of how long I've had my license, I still had to go into the program and I fought it as best as I could. And I still got one more deal that I have to have before I can get out of the program. And I've asked for other mentors too. I asked if someone else could be my mentor, and they said that they couldn't be because they weren't a managing broker. And that was Stephanie Hammer, who's pretty good, but she doesn't have a managing broker. She's in Idaho and Washington. And she was one of when I was trying to be on her team, which I ended up canceling out of. But she couldn't be I could be on her team, but she could not be my mentor. So I don't know if it was I don't know if it was a Washington thing or not, but Carol, aren't you in Washington? Hello?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so that's what I thought. So that's what I was told anyway, that to be so you might have to go into check out the mentorship program and see what it takes to become a mentor.
Yeah, Kathy, I think that Stephanie misunderstood. I've never heard that rule before. There's in any state. And with EXP, as you know, we're one brokerage, and that's one thing that everybody loves about it is it's the same rules everywhere.
Well, that's what I thought.
So-
That's what I thought too. But I'm just saying, check it out. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's what I was told by not necessarily Robin McHugh, but whoever her predecessor was, Denise Thompson, I think it was before that.
You have to be a managing broker in order to be a mentor.
That's what I said.
So
That's what I'm saying. But you said
yeah,
you
that
wanted
is a Washington state. Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, just check it out. I could be wrong, but I thought that I was pretty clear on it. I thought, but I could be wrong.
That's what they told me. It's what I understood when I first onboarded. Is in order to be a mentor, you had to be a managing broker, which is a higher level on your license.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. And I think you have to have so many transactions too in order to prove it that you can do the job, I guess. So
Right.
I don't know. Just check into it. So I mean, there's a lot to it because I did, I just recently read it too. So okay.
Nate, did you have something to say?
Yeah. So in Oregon, you don't have to be a managing broker to be a mentor. Shantae became my mentor, and she only ever had like a few transactions, but she went through the courses to mentor and was approved. So Oregon is different than that. And then for Kathy, if you're still in the mentee program where you need one more transaction, for me in Oregon, so you might want to check with your managing broker. If you co-broker with another EXP agent in your area on a deal, even if you're co-brokering, that still counts as one of your transactions. And so if you can find somebody to work with on a transaction and they co-broker you in the SkySlope, mine counted for me and got me out of the mentee program. So you might want to check into that. Just think about it.
But the other thing I need to find out too is my first transaction was a land deal, it was just acreage. And I just recently saw some information that come across, workplace or whatever, that said that they're now making it so that land deals can also qualify as one of your transactions. I always thought it was one of my transactions, so now I'm confused about my very first transaction. So maybe I only have one transaction, which was the last one I just did in November. So I need to find out if that's a qualifying, transaction for one of my three. So I hope not, because I was always under the understanding that it did qualify. So I hope I'm misreading that one, that last thing I saw. So I don't know.
Well, maybe just pop into EXP World and go into the department and talk to them in there. Get some clarification on that, but a transaction is the way I understand it is a transaction, whether it's land or commercial or residential. Okay.
That's what I thought in the beginning too, but I it's just something that crossed my mind. So
Okay, well, we'll talk about market conditions now. One thing we just wanted to bring up was our panel that we had last week. The whole thing was, their take on the market. So
Yes.
it was super interesting and they had some really great things to say. And I think a lot of people left with some great takeaways.
Yeah, we had almost 30 people there. It was really awesome. I don't see anybody on here that was actually in there except for Lynn. Is Lynn still on here? Lynn, you got any comments or shares or any takeaways from our panel discussion that we had last week, which was pretty awesome?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing just getting into a different environment, and the energy was fantastic in there. The information was fantastic. And I think there was some newer agents in there that could really eat up the things that were being said. And I was glad I went for so many reasons, not just the energy in the room, but the networking with people that were there, the information that was given to us. Just like Eric says, every time we learn something new, we can apply it to a new situation. And having, even the title gal, usually you think, oh, title, how boring, right? She was really good and she had some great things to share with us. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was worth every bit of my time. And yeah, I think it was a great idea. And I think everyone took something away. We had nothing but positive feedback. And everyone that I talked to just thanked us for providing such great value. So it was a lot of fun, and lunch was really good too. Great. You guys did a great job. Sorry you were sick, Eric. I know a lot of people have been super, super ill, and we miss you. Hope you're feeling better.
Kathy, oh yeah, James, Kathy, were you guys on Zoom for that one?
Yeah,
for
I
the-
was.
For this class you're talking about?
Last week on Wednesday?
No, I can't remember what I don't know if I had a doctor's appointment or something that day because I did want to go to it and I wanted to go to was this the one that that Sydney was doing? Because I missed Sydney's too. Was hers a different one?
Yep, hers was a different one. Those recordings are on our Facebook group page. You could go back and watch those. James, I'm curious, being on Zoom, it's a little bit different of an experience, obviously, than being there in person. And you weren't present for all of the conversation and breakouts and everything that happened afterwards. People stayed for another hour or so. That part was really great as well. But tell me how it was for you on Zoom.
I actually really liked it. And the first thing that comes to my mind is every time that you hear an appraiser talk, you just realize how big of a value that they add. And I think that's huge for new agents and just reiterates to me because they're like, oh, it's an appraiser. They're just kind of a third party and they're fished out. And but I mean, they have a wealth of information. So even the questions that were asked to that person. And I've only really seen presentations from two appraisers, that one and then somebody else, I don't remember his name, but they were all really good and they both offered like a free 15-minute consult or kind of walk you through how they do prepare an appraisal, which I think new agents should absolutely take advantage of, even if it's 20-30 minutes. And especially if it's on like a new listing they have, how they break it down, that's super good information. So I think it was awesome.
You're right about the appraiser. That's interesting. I think, if I remember right, that all of our open Q&A after we finished the moderation portion of it were directed towards him. Because that was the most curiosity and they don't get those kind of conversations. I've known Andrew for a long time and we don't really get to pick our appraisers on our transactions, but he's been a wealth of knowledge. I know Lynn's used him and she can share that for advice, for consultation, for measuring properties, for validation. Kathy, what you're talking about on valuing a property or whatever, getting a second opinion and paying them a little bit of money for their time just to get that perspective is huge. Lynn, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, so when you're listing a property, and you probably all know this, but you can look at past listings and sometimes you can see 6 listings in a row on a property that can have all different measurements or they're different from the assessors. And so what I like to do is if I'm not seeing consistency on past listings and the assessors, I will have the appraiser come do an appraisal. The other thing that is really awesome is not an appraisal, sorry, a measurement for me. And it costs me about $150. He goes and does it. And that way I know that we're accurate because sometimes the assessor is just way off and you have a lot more square footage. But you don't want to put bad data out there, right? So you want to make sure that, where are you going to get the most square footage is what I'm looking for, right? Not the least amount of square footage. The other thing that's been pretty common, and this was actually said by the title gal, is the people that are really buying and selling right now, a lot of it has to do with estates. And so I've had a few of those. And our classes are so amazing, you guys. There's so much I've learned, and that's how I've won some of my deals this year, is that I'll have someone come to me that's referred to me, or well, I guess it would be a referral, and they're like, I am not using an agent. I am not using an agent at all. I have decided I'm going to go, this guy said he'd pay me cash, and I'll talk to him and I'll say, okay, I'm fine with you not using an agent. That's fine. But have you done this and this and this and this? And they're like, no one's even told me anything about that. So then you start telling them how you can help them and save them. Nothing in it for you at all. You're not even going to, you're not asking to list it. So then you become a trusted source for them and they come back to you. And then guess who gets to list the property because they believe you and trust you. And you saved them a lot of money and you get to be the protector. It's amazing. Just had another one that was sent to me by an attorney. And same thing. It's insane. You guys, the minute their relative dies, even if they're estranged, like this guy was totally estranged from his dad. The last one I did, well, this one, yes, totally estranged by their dad too. And but people start calling them within like 24 hours. In fact, the one before this, they started standing outside of the town of the condo, attacking these people, you know, and offering them money, but it's literally half of the value. And then someone like us goes in and says, okay, this is what we can get you in the condition it is right now. This is what I can do. I can get estimates and help you. But you know that they've got to get through probate, right? Because if you do enough of them, or if you come to enough of our classes and learn about these things, then these are the steps that happen. Because unless probate's over, they can't even sign anything. But you can still, during the process, become the person that they trust. And let's say they don't use you. At least you did the very best for them. And that's all that matters, right? The end.
Yeah, we know personally that there's a lot of transactions that we weren't a part of, but they turned into referral partners of ours. And we got other transactions because of that trust that you established with them, doing what's right for them. So yeah, super interesting. I just had Ashley confirm she does have this recording uploaded to our Facebook group, our Team Limitless Facebook group. If you weren't there, it would be worth your time watching it. We had, as you can see, we had the lender and we had title and we had the appraiser on there. There was a lot of good information. There was so many good talking points in there. And part of that was just getting people off the fence and getting them to know that this is as good as the market's going to be for a while.
Yeah.
Right. It's not going to get better for these people that are waiting for some dramatic event to happen. And Corey even mentioned, he said, the worst thing that could happen for buyers right now is the interest rates instantly drop to the fours.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what people are waiting for, right? When the interest rates drop, I'm going to get in the game.
Yeah.
And I made the comment. I said, would you rather refinance when they drop to the fours or get into the game with 18 other people that want that property? And now you're paying more for the property because people are like, oh, we better get in now. And that is going to happen. Corey validated the uptick in his applications has already dramatically risen.
Jeff, just like I said at the first of this call, I took a buyer out this weekend, showed him a house in the 500 range, multiple offers, and they're doing best and final, right? So it's already happening depending on the price range, I think. So,
it is. And then go to the next slide. And
just for you guys out there too, I didn't make the meeting, this one here with the panel, but I did meet with Janine over the weekend and looked at some houses with her. And for those of you that are local, if your clients have or haven't looked at new builds, Janine's great to work with. She has an Edge, obviously a big builder. They have a great inventory of homes. So I thought that was very educational. I don't know if my buyers will have an interest in it, but it was very educational for them to see not only the existing side of the market, but the new build side of the market, what they're offering there. And Janine's great to work with, and it was a good experience. And there are a lot of other builders out there too, but she did a good job.
And she mentioned on the panel that she had some floor time as well. That we were talking a little bit about inventory. And people are like, oh yeah, I look at new builds too. I look on the MLS, I know what's out there, whatever. But for Edge specifically, she says you will only see about 10% of the available.
Jeff, she sent me a sheet that was 18 pages long. Now it had condos, townhouses, single family homes, everything. 18 pages.
But the price ranges and
they were
areas
all over
and everything.
They had a ton. I mean, I thought she was going to send me a little one-page sheet that had 6 homes on it, right?
Yeah.
There was a bucket load to look at there.
That's awesome. Even like you said, even if your clients don't choose one of those, you're showing them through the process that there's hidden inventory. There's things that you're not going to see. That's why they need you to connect them. Who was talking?
I'm saying, if that's Edge, imagine all the other builders, so there's probably a ton of inventory out there. So if we have
I looked up a bunch too. I mean, Ivory, Alpine, Richmond. I mean, there are a ton of them out there, right? That all have thing. You know, if you're looking for a specific location, then you jump around and find the builders that that have the location that you're looking for.
If you're working a lot with buyers, it would make a lot of sense to have a representative at each one of those builders.
Absolutely.
You just literally send an email, hey, I'm working with a new buyer in this price range, what you got?
Yep. Well, we had another buyer that was like, oh, we're not gonna look until May, you know, that kind of a thing. And then all of a sudden their situation changed, like, oh, we need to do something right now. Well, then the quick move-ins can be a solution.
Eric, you've had a lot of experience with Edge and with Ivory. I know you got a great connection over there and stuff. You got any comments on the new construction?
Actually, I do.
I thought you might.
I love Edge. One thing I love about Edge is they seem to be really aggressive on staying ahead of where the pricing should be. Where a lot of builders will kind of reduce and make changes reluctantly. So if you notice, when the market was declining over the last year, it seemed like Edge's pricing was the best, right? They were ahead of the game. They're trying to stay on the bottom of that price curve. Keep in mind, just what like Corey said, the worst thing that could happen is interest rates drop to 4 for buyers. Edge does the same thing when the market switches. They're one of the first to correct prices and move them back. So, I mean, it's a good point that, I mean, what Corey says, and this is a really good time for buyers to get in now before that happens, because it is going to happen, whether rates drop to 4 or not, who knows, but we are going to see that movement of, more and more buyers come into the market and prices will adjust. You mentioned Ivory. I've sold a lot of Ivory homes as well. I really like Ivory as well. They've been really good to work with my clients. Their houses are always ready to go. Like, I've been through some nightmare walkthroughs, we're closing in 3 days. I'm like, this house looks horrible. I mean, it's just like we spent 2 hours taping off stuff, with certain builders that I could mention that you would recognize. But anyway, Edge and Ivory are not like that. When you go through the walkthrough, you feel like somebody's already done the walkthrough, already looked for all those blemishes and fixed it, and they really try to present a good home. One other thing I'll share, I'm working with a buyer right now that's leaning towards new construction, and I'll pull it up real quick. There's a builder in Saratoga Springs in that 600, 700,000 range. I'm trying to remember the name of the builder, but they're offering 100% finished basements and front yard landscaping with their current pricing. Let's see.
Finished basement, it's huge.
Finished basement, offering free finished basements.
Wow, that's good.
Why can't I find it? I will find it. I'll tell you which builder that is, but it's not the, Saratoga Springs, and Eagle Mountain. They're down there a ways, but the ones in Saratoga Springs, they're not far west at all. They're more towards the freeway. Redwood area, and not right on the lake either. I think it's a really ideal location. So I just found it. It is, I found the MLS. Why can't I find the?
Yeah, Eric, that depending on the size of the basement, that's like a 25 to 60 grand incentive,
Yeah, this one I'm looking at,
Yeah.
I'll just drop in the MLS number. But I don't know why I can't find the builder's name on here. I know it's right in front of me somewhere, but it's an 1,800 square foot finished basement. It's included. Fieldstone Homes is what it is. So $640,000 brand new Rambler, 3,700 square feet. So 1,800 of the basement finished at that price.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
100 square feet, not 1,800.
Whoa. So Eric, along this lines, one of the things we talked about in that panel discussion, because Edge was there, and of course we had Andrew, the appraiser, on there. We talked a lot about concessions, and when the market picks up, that's one of the first things that's going to disappear. So Edge is really on the forefront of making that offering up front, not even waiting for negotiation. It's like, hey, we'll buy down your rate, we'll give you the closing costs, we'll do all this, come buy our homes, right? And so we can't forget that we need to ask for those with the resale sellers, because they're not going to come right out and ask for it, but a lot of them are willing to do it. Andrew had told me that he's seen a ton of his appraisals with more than $20,000 in concessions. But the conversation was, if interest rates come down or buyers get off the fence and come to the market, they don't need to offer those anymore. And so those are going to disappear. And that could be a huge, huge deal for your buyers. Nathan, I see your hands up.
Hey, just a quick question about your basements there. Do your appraisers count your basement square footage?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yes and no.
Yeah, Eric and I both jumped in. Yes, but
Okay, well they don't here, even if it's a like completely finished and it's a daylight basement, the whole 9 yards, they won't count the square footage. I was just curious.
it's a different square footage adjustment on the price value, less than half. Above ground square footage definitely counts for more. In fact, that was one of the questions we got from Zoom at the end. It was his proposal is, let's take an 1,800 square foot house all above ground with no basement versus an 1,800 square foot house that has 50% above grade and 50% below grade. And the first thing out of his mouth is, for the first thing I want to say is those two are not comparable. He would never compare those two to each other because they're different houses, right? So he's going to find something else that has 1,800 square feet above grade. So they're not comparable products. But then when we broke down the pricing, because the adjustment value for above ground square footage is more than basement square footage, the Rambler or the one level, the property that had 1,800 square feet above ground would probably be worth more. He mentioned the percentage difference, and I can't remember what he said. Do you remember? And Eric,
I think he said 80 to 75%.
That sounds right. Yeah, 75% difference in that value.
And I think that's, for me, I was going to say, as far as appraisals go, because the listing that we have in Layton, they had an appraisal back from like June or July. So I asked them for it. And they had, like the GLA was probably $70 a square foot. And the appraiser marked the basement as $35 a square foot. So I think it can be dependent, but I think for new agents, this is just kind of random, but I think spending maybe $500 and getting an appraisal on your first listing, just so you can have that and analyze that and know how to read it, is probably some of the best money you could buy, or best money you could spend early on, because there's a wealth of information you can get on there. Then you can compare the pictures and see what the difference in finishes are, what the what's the word, adjustment is for that. So I learned a lot looking at their appraisal.
Yeah, and Jeff, it's so, I think the whole basement thing of the value is so counterintuitive to most people, because you get a new build today, 9-foot ceilings, big window wells, it doesn't even feel like a basement, right? This isn't a 50s, 60s, 70s basement.
Yeah,
this
where
is
it's 6 feet.
this feels like a full on, main floor almost. And to think that, oh, we don't get any value with that, or we only get $35 a square foot for that, when the rest of the house is at 150 a square foot. It's really counterintuitive, because it doesn't seem like it should be that way, even though it is.
Right. Yeah, and they don't care what the price per square foot is on a home. You can't, there's just too many other variables in there. They don't even take that into consideration. But James mentioned this earlier before, because he knows, and he heard Andrew, but also had met another appraiser, and they both had offered like a free 15-minute consultation or whatever. Hey, if you got some questions, you just want me to kind of go over your comps or whatever. Andrew literally said, that first time I'll do it for free. What he's also implying is he wants to be a trusted resource, and it might cost you a little bit of money, but if you have a pricing issue and say it costs you $100, or Lynn says she pays $150 to have him actually go out and physically measure the entire property, that's invaluable for the data that you're collecting, that you're passing on to your clients from a true professional in there. So if you're worried about that, and the way I met Andrew is I met him through Corey, but I called my lender and I said, who do you like? What appraisers have you worked with? I need an independent opinion on this deal I'm working on. Who can I call? And that's how I met Andrew years ago. And he's been a great resource over the years, even though I'm not hiring him personally to do the appraisals on my closings or my transactions. They're a wealth of knowledge that most people don't realize they can have access to for not a huge expense.
And I think that would work well if you had like a really niche property that you're unsure of and you already have like an agreement signed. I think they're a great resource just to spend the $500 and get a full one. Then you actually have data to present to the sellers, and then you kind of go from there. I have heard numerous times there is quite a big difference between an appraisal that just for like, say for a listing compared to if it's under contracts. So there's a big price gap, and that'll kind of depend on the property and stuff, but that's something to be aware of also.
Yeah, that's actually another conversation to have with them, James, is because they got to the point where they had to start allowing adjustments for market conditions. You know, after 2008, it was because they're coming down so fast. Then when they were rising, the prices were rising faster than the comps were, because we're looking in the past for the comparables that they're using for the appraisals, but this property has 20 offers on it at that price. And so the conversation could still be, hey, I'm listing this property, I need an appraisal based on its as is value, the way it is right now, but have that conversation with them about scenarios. What if first weekend we got 6 offers? What if it's been on the market 120 days and then we get an offer? Those are different scenarios as far as what they can attribute to market conditions and add or not add to the value of the property.
So when I was talking about appraisals, like for probate, that kind of thing, or a trust, some kind of an inheritance, I have them get an appraisal, I have them buy the appraisal, but that's to create their basis. So they need to have their basis done. Yes, you can sell it, but if someone were to argue that that wasn't market value during the time that that person passed away, that is kind of where I was talking about appraisal, and I didn't make that clear.
Cool. Well, obviously that panel discussion was really awesome. Do you want to move on to some wins? And Lynn, I wanted you maybe to start us off and talk about Carson and Desiree's property, because the cycle of that listing and the inactivity to the activity that's changing. You got some comments on that one?
Sure. So it's a unique property. It's right at the base of Little Cottonwood Canyon. They've done a ton of upgrades to it. I told them in the beginning where other houses were selling for in that were comparables for there. They chose to actually go a little bit higher than that because of all the upgrades they had done, which is kind of a good process sometimes for people to be able to see, because if I would have listed it and it would have sold right away, then they would have thought that they underbid it, they underlisted it, right? So anyway, we finally got to where I had originally told them the market value was, and we had, I mean, we've had showings all along and people have really loved it, but dropping it to that value of 1.95 brought in like 8 showings, multiple offers, and it was really quite exciting for them. Now, they would have saved a lot of hard money interest if we would have started there, but they also may have thought that they were leaving a couple $100,000 on the table. So the market kind of had to show them exactly what people were willing to pay, and then people were willing to fight for it. Now, I wonder if I would have listed it right at what I told them my analysis came in at, if it would have even sold for that, or they would have sold for less, because when we listed is when things were just pretty dead. So maybe the interest rates coming down a little bit, people getting past all the holidays, because we listed right before the holidays, even though we kind of I tried to hit July, but it got pushed to, I believe it was September or October. So timing is just so important, and watching and being able to give people your experience, because I've got a few people that are getting ready to list now. And obviously it's really kind of the catch-22 right now. You've got lower inventory, you've got interest rates are a little bit better. And so that was my main question for the panel, but I didn't ask it, was would you tell people to wait? Like, would you tell them to wait until April or May to list? Or would you say right now, because our inventory is lower and people are still needing to come move here? Anyone have an opinion on that?
I'd say if you have been waiting, now's the time. Like you said earlier, I think the spring movement has started already. And when you look at if it takes you a week or two to prepare a home to get listed and have photos, you're looking mid-February right now. I think it's time to go.
I think it's similar to the buyer's point of view, right? They're saying, I want to wait till interest rates come down, and that's gonna possibly end up hurting them in the long run. Sellers, if they're saying, I'm gonna wait to list, other sellers are saying the same thing. If they have a reason to be selling right now, waiting is speculating. Is it gonna be better or is it gonna be worse? What are interest rates really gonna be? Is there gonna be more inventory or less? We don't know. One of the big takeaways from the panel is that buyers and sellers need to make decisions based on what is. And if it's a long-term decision, it's always the right time to buy. Especially if you're planning on being there for long term. If it's a flip situation, that market has changed a little bit. Kaylee could probably attest to that. It's like finding a property with the right profit margins, or the profit margins that you're used to from 2, 3, 5 years ago, is more difficult, and they're not as prevalent, and there's more competition, and so it depends on what their objectives are.
Great. I think we'll move on unless anybody has anything that's super pressing. We only got a few minutes left. And I just want to talk a little bit about our upcoming training. We've got Unlocking Wealth with Linda Tuttle. She's going to be coming and telling us about some tax strategies that we can use. Should be a really good one. We've already got quite a few people that have signed up.
This, as you can see by the subtitle there, this is specifically geared towards real estate professionals, taking advantage of all the write-offs that are available to us as entrepreneurs, but also in real estate. That's kind of her focus and her niche. Her husband is a real estate agent and has been for a long time. And so this should be really good information for us personally. But again, we're always saying it, you're going to get some good talking points to throw out there to your clients and your SOI friends and families, reels, posts, whatever.
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't mention earlier is that we've been seeing on social media, some people have been taking our classes and like making good reels or posts out of it. Which that's the point, is to create talking points that you can talk to your clients about. And so that's been pretty cool. And sorry, someone's got to say something.
I was just going to say that if there's any agents you really love out there, this is one of the things that agents have a really tough time with, especially the really good ones that are high interactive. The whole finance, accounting part of their business is totally not their thing. So if you love someone out there, you know they're successful, and I would totally let them know about this class.
Agreed.
Awesome. And here are our upcoming trainings coming up in the next couple weeks. We have some scheduled changes. We're kind of talking about it. Because we're the panel went so well that we want to do more panels like that. So some things might be switching around a little bit. But now let's go on and have Sheena close us out.
Awesome. Okay, Lynn, I love you. Can you mute your phone because it's clicking? Thank you. You're the best. Okay, I'm super excited about this quote because it's so simple. I prepared some things, so I might be reading a little bit, but the cool thing that I love about powerful quotes like this is that they're so powerful yet so simple. So never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. And this goes exactly with what Terry was saying. It's like we communicated. I should have him chime in and take over because he hit it on the head this morning. So I want you guys to imagine you're at a baseball game and the stands are full, the lights are bright, and the crowd is excited. Picture yourself as the batter standing at home plate. The pitcher winds up, the ball comes hurtling towards you, in that moment, you have two choices: to swing, risking a strike, or to let the opportunities pass by. Obviously, this is not just about baseball. This is a metaphor for life. Every day we are faced with opportunities that demand a decision. Do we step up to the plate and take a swing, knowing that failure is a possibility, or do we let our fear of striking out keep us from even trying? The fear of failure is a powerful force that can paralyze the best of us, keeping us in our comfort zones where nothing grows but our regrets. Let me tell you, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every time we step out of our comfort zones and face our fears, we grow stronger and more resilient. We learn more from our failures than from our victories. Think about the greatest achievers in history. What if Thomas Edison had given up after his first few attempts at creating the light bulb? What if J.K. Rowling had stopped writing after being rejected by multiple publishers? The history of success is littered with stories of people who failed time and time again but never gave up. Remember, striking out does not mean you are out of the game. It means you had the courage to take a chance. Every strike brings you closer to your next home run. So don't fear the strikeout. Embrace it, learn from it, let it fuel your determination. As you go back to your daily lives, I challenge you to step up to the plate, take that swing, whether it's pursuing a dream, starting a new project, or taking a stand for what you believe in. Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. So this week, I want to challenge you guys to track your swings. Open up your notes section on your phone. And anytime you're faced with a decision, you can use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which I love. Are you going to take the swing, or are you going to let the opportunity pass by? This is kind of an opportunity for you to track and get some honest feedback from yourself. I think most of the time we don't even realize it. We're like totally oblivious to the opportunities that pass us by. But that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is to pay attention and to think, am I going to step up to the plate and am I going to swing, risking that strike, or am I going to stand there and let the opportunity pass by? So I love this quote. I love baseball. I love sports in general because it teaches so many awesome things. But I've just noticed the biggest thing for me is myself. That's the biggest thing that gets in my way, is myself. And you can have coaches, mentors. We have these awesome meetings, but ultimately when the computer screen shuts off and you get back to work, it's up to you to step up to the plate and decide what you're going to swing at. So that's my message. There you go.
I absolutely love it. I love it. One thing that popped into my mind, Shayna, because of this quote, because is it going to keep you from playing the game? And analogous of sports, you can be a participant or you can be a spectator, right? Are we, and in life as well, are we really a participant in our own success and future and dreams and goals, or are we a spectator merely just watching others and not participating ourselves? The excitement, the joy is in playing the game. And so I love that. I think that's a great focus for the week.
So next week when I open, right, Ash, I'm going to open next week. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to tell me about your week and where did you strike out? I want to hear about the strikes, because it's like we put this emotion with fear and failure, and we think that it's a bad thing, so we don't even try. But how cool would it be? I wanted to talk to James about this before, but I'm like, I want to have conversations with my kids at the dinner table, being like, where did you strike out this week? Like, let's hear it, because I'd rather you be striking out than being a spectator and sitting on the sidelines.
Shayna, you could not have said this piece any sooner. I even reached out to Lynn just a couple days ago, last week sometime, right, Lynn? And because I'm at a crossroads as to whether I'm going to stay in the business or not, because my kids are trying to say, Mom, you're 70, almost 73 years old, and it's time for you to stop doing this. You're not doing anything with real estate. And I keep trying to tell them, yes, I'm struggling right now, but I have an opportunity to make money and contribute to our household income or whatever you want to call all of this. And could you send me that, what you just read in an email or something to me so I can kind of put it in front of me and look at it every day, a couple times a day?
Sure.
I really need this kind of support like right now. And I'm sorry to cry, but it's really hitting home to me. And I love baseball, and I used to play softball till I was 47 years old. Women's softball, co-ed softball. So I know all about baseball, and my father was a baseball player in minor leagues, and my brother played softball or baseball, coached baseball for high schoolers and little leaguers, and now he's got a stroke at 70 years old. Well, he's had the stroke for 10 years now down in California, which is where I was going to go last September or last July. Remember, Jeff, when I was going to come down there and see you guys. But anyway, this really hits home for me, and I really do appreciate it. So if you could maybe email that to me, Kathy.ray@exprealty.com.
Yep. Yep, I will send that to you, and just like there's no nothing wrong with striking out. There's nothing wrong with crying, except for unless you're Tom Hanks and he says there's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, I saw that one too. So
That's a good one. But yeah, just keep it up. Whatever you decide to do, I think the most important thing to do is that you're living your life at a 10. That's my theme. That's my motto for life right now. And you're showing up for yourself. Doesn't matter what it is, honestly. Doesn't matter if it's real estate, doesn't matter if it's who you talk to at the grocery store. It's you got to show up for you and put yourself out there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the reason this quote from Babe Ruth is so relevant is that most people know him as the home run king, but he was also the strikeout king because he swung the bat more than anybody else. He took more swings. And so, Kathy, I love that you just shared that. That was personal, and I appreciate that. That's what I love about this group. We're all here for each other. But I think all of us could take more swings. No matter what our batting average is. Play the game more, play it hard.
So I've seen this quote before too, but never put in the context that Shayna just put it in. So I really appreciate that, Shayna. So good job.
Well, and Kathy, there's something to be said about you continuing to educate yourself and continuing to strive for something. It gives you a purpose. It gives you hope. It gives you excitement. And I know our kids sometimes tell us, I've been told, you don't need to work anymore, Mom. You don't need the big house anymore, Mom. You don't need these things. But I like to work, and I want to work, and I want to learn more, and I want to get better. And so I can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, but then they say, well, Mom, just show us then, and it's like, yeah, but I don't think that they see, like when I come to these classes and when I go to Bill Pipes' stuff, I'm a constant student, and I need to implement what I have learned. And I know that. It's just, sometimes I just get a little overwhelmed, and I get tired of the drunk monkey, telling, my kids being the drunk monkey telling me, well, Mom, you don't need to do that anymore. And I said, well, who's going to help my husband pay our bills, pay our RV off that we just bought last year? It's, we made some bad business decisions last year, and we kind of run out of money a little bit. So now I need to get my butt in gear and go to work and get some more sales behind me. So that's it. Where else am I going to make the kind of money that you can make in real estate by being at a 9-to-5 sales clerk job or something like that for minimum wage? That's not going to do it.
Tough years. We're going into a year that hopefully is going to be amazing, and people are going to be jumping back in, and we're going to have interest rates decrease. And so just
I'm hopeful. Yeah, I'm hopeful in that respect. Yeah.
So Kathy, this quote and this tie-in that Shane just did kind of coincides with what Ashley was talking about and where I feel you're coming from, where Ashley was talking about taking action. Taking action increases our motivation. So I would challenge you, because you mentioned you're the perpetual student and the education, and you are learning a ton and stuff. So I know, because it's true of all of us probably, I know that there are things that you know you should be doing that you're not doing, or I know that there's something you want to do, you just haven't done it yet. So I would challenge you to pick one thing every day that you have in your head that you either should be doing or you want to do because it's going to lead you to better success, and just make a small step in the direction of that. What, do something that's going to move the needle a little bit that you haven't done, that's maybe been procrastinated, or maybe I'm suggesting that sometimes education, because it can be for me, is a hiding place. It's easy to do, and so we just get more and more, and you're like, we feel like we're busy, we feel like we're doing something because we're feeding our brain. But if we don't couple that with actually taking action on what we're learning, we're missing the point of that education. So that's my challenge to you, is to pick something that you should be doing that you're not, and take a step towards that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we are at 11:07 now, so we wrap up. We've got agent attraction though for anybody that wants to stick around. Eric, do you have anything to say on that?
I do. Great meeting, guys. That was really inspiring by everybody, and I love the conversation about the market, where it's going, and learning a little bit more about appraisals. And it's great job, everybody. Great contribution. I've got a little bit on agent attraction as far as kind of making a comparison of what we talk about all the time with talking points with real estate and selling homes, and the education that we get every single week, and how that talking points can help us sell properties because it's top of mind. And as we know, we've had a few new programs introduced this year by EXP to help us sell more real estate. And those are great talking points for us. But one thing we haven't talked about much is the new programs that EXP has released just in the last year, specifically for agent attraction, revenue share, and team building. And I've got, there's actually 3 new programs that have all been released in the last year. And I think this will be kind of new to a lot of you, but I've got a cool little acronym to help you remember it for talking points. So maybe take a couple notes on this so you can just kind of have it in the back of your mind. And you don't need to know everything about all of these programs, but if you can just kind of file it away and then kind of do some research as you have time, I think it'd be really, really helpful, because EXP is doing everything they can to help us offer something more to agents, brokers, teams that are really looking for something more and they don't know where to go. So there's actually 3 new programs this year. The first one is called Boost. The second one is Accelerate. And the third one is Thrive. So if you don't know what all 3 of those are, the difference is that it's because we just haven't talked about them a ton and the differences, but they're all very unique tools to help us attract agents, brokerages, and teams. So the easy way to remember this is the Boost starts with B, that's for brokers. Accelerate starts with an A, that's for agents. And Thrive starts with a T, and that's for teams. So all different programs to help us attract. So the Boost is really ideal for, brokers that have, they're independent brokers that have somewhere around 50 agents, do 100 million a year. These are big independent brokerages, or at least close to those numbers, to help them financially to make the transition to EXP. And EXP actually does incentivize and provide them financial resources and help to make that transition, which can be huge, over the past year, with, a lot of brokerages are down on numbers. Most of them are, right? Down on their numbers. So that financial help can really be a lifeline to some of these independent broker owners. The second one is Accelerate. And Accelerate is this is for everybody. Every single agent that joins today has all 3 levels of revenue share unlocked for an entire year, as if they had 10 FLQAs on their front tier. So if you can imagine, hey, I introduced 2 or 3 agents, and one of those agents introduces a couple, and one of those introduces one. You've got agents on all 3 tiers. You're going to get full revenue share commission for 12 months, as if you had 10 FLQAs, which is really powerful because it can make a really nice financial incentive for an agent that just came into EXP and really can have that revenue share make a huge difference while they're building up the rest of their team. So then after, month 13, then they will go to the standard program. Well, maybe they have 5 or 6 FLQAs on their first tier by then, and they're actually not going to have a reduction in their revenue share. It'll stay the same or continue to grow. Very cool program. We need to talk about it more because it's super powerful for new agents that are joining right now. And the third one is Thrive. I love this program because it's actually kind of in between Boost and Accelerate. And it's really intended for team leaders that have somewhere around 10 agents on their team, maybe do about $40 million a year over the entire team, which is a pretty reasonable number if you have 10 agents. Now, of course, if they have 10 or 15, 20 agents, they'd fall into the Thrive program. What if they had 7 or 8 agents and they did 50 million? I would definitely run it by EXP and see if they qualify for the Thrive program. And what it is, it's for the team leader to get 12 months worth of stock provided to them as if they had been with EXP the entire previous year. And that has the same vesting for 3 years as any other stock gifts, but super powerful for team leaders. So we have something for the solo agent, the team agent, and the brokerage, everybody. And this is all brand new in the last year that gives us tools and talking points to help agents see that, hey, EXP not only is introducing programs to help us sell more real estate, they're introducing programs to help us attract agents that need help and want something different, want something more.
Eric, that was awesome. Those are 3 great programs and you explained them really, really well. One thing, I got a question. You mentioned, hey, if you find somebody that might fit in one of these categories or even close to the qualifications that you mentioned, reach out and run it by EXP. How is that done?
So there's actually leaders of each group. So if you have someone like that, it's super easy to get the head of each department, and you reach out to them on workplace chat, and you run the scenario by them, and that they're interested in this program. What can we do to sit down with this team leader or brokerage and see if we can qualify them either on a full or partial level? And yeah, we can get that done for sure.
Amazing. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about those things?
I think the main thought here, Jeff, is if you are just aware of the programs that are out there and just knowing that they are there when you're talking to another agent that might be in a situation, if it pops up in your mind, ask them a few questions, and then let's have a discussion together about, hey, what would possibly be available, instead of saying, hey, there's this program about this, and this, and this. Oh, shoot, I guess you don't qualify. Just kind of do some fact finding and let's chat together and see what program might work for them. And then we can make those connections and And then it's an all positive, all win for that new agent that might not, I guarantee they don't know about these programs. Agents out there that aren't an EXP, most of them don't really know how revenue share stock program works anyway. They're certainly not going to know about these programs. So it's up to us to know enough to be dangerous and share it with other agents, or know what they are. So when we talk to agents, we can find out what they fit into, so we can share the right program with them. But very powerful. A lot of agents, team leaders, and independent brokerages are coming on, and they're using these programs to make that transition.
Yeah, I love it. And don't forget that Eric and I are here for you as well. If you meet somebody that you think might fit in one of these categories and want to chat about it, reach out to us as well. But then, of course, we're ultimately going to end up with the leaders of these organizations at EXP. But great resources, Eric.
Yeah, we would love to make that first connection, and and help find the right people. Well, I have a list of them, just not on me to share the names, but I know the leads of each department that we can contact and get that information. So use those, it's just a little talking point today. Do some research on those so you kind of understand them a little bit, what the criteria is, but also know that the criteria is flexible. I've heard this many times, and they can be adjusted for someone's situation. So, I mean, if you run into, for example, a team leader that has 7 agents and they did 28 million last year, don't just automatically say, well, they don't qualify. Let's have a discussion. Let's see what we can put together for them that is above and beyond what just joining EXP Standard would do. And it's gonna create some excitement and some momentum for you, as well as some tremendous retention on that new team coming over.
Yeah, for sure.
For
So
example,
any of you that are interested in that, I think a good next step might be to actually go into Workplace and search Boost and search keyword Accelerate and Thrive, and kind of like listen in or join in on the conversation that's already in there that's been going on these topics, and learn a little bit.
Yeah, it's perfect advice. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Ready to go.
Thank you, guys.
That's like your wrap up. Ready to go. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all of you. Reach out if you need anything, and have a fantastic week.
Have a great
See
week.
you Wednesday for training, hopefully. Tax advantages for real estate.
Have a fantastic Monday, you guys. Thanks so much, Eric, for sharing.
Yep. See you guys. Have a great week.
Thank you, you too.
See ya. Well, Eric was